Hey folks, how you guys doing today? We're going to do some Eberron artwork. We're making a, let me refresh this, see if it comes through. There we go, excellent. Okay, great. We are creating maps for the Eberron adventure that we're going to be publishing on DMsGuild. Give me a moment here to check my signal, see if we're coming through. I've got a couple of social media posts to make, and then we're going to get to work here for a couple hours. One moment here, checking in on my signal to see if I am audible. Checking in on my signal to see if... Yeah, that sounds pretty good. Drop that down there. And grab this here. I am doing some quick social media postings and then we'll get started. So, hey, my name is Phil Kearney. I create role-playing games. I illustrate them. I publish them online, and I've been creating content for D&D 5th edition on the DMsGuild since 2018. I've been a DM since 1987, a freelance illustrator since 1999, an Eberron enthusiast since 2004. But I haven't created anything for Eberron on the DMsGuild, and I want to change that. So we're making this adventure. You're fighting necromancers, undead, and demons in the Carnwood of Karnath on the continent of Corvair. So we need to do some Pinewood Forest maps for encounters that are happening in the Carnwood, which is an old growth forest. There's the way we have the structure is deciduous trees along the edges, and then as you move into the forest, the deciduous trees naturally fall away to swaths of evergreen pines. So we've got two different types of map tokens, or rather tree tokens in the terrain that we've done. I've finished my postings online. So I'll just wrap up my intro by switching my screen around here, and let's see, let's go to Windows and open up our tools. And if you think today's fun, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications when we're live in the future. Here's a bunch of D&D stuff that I've already created that's on the DMsGuild. It has extensive free previews, so be welcome to check this stuff out. Use it in your campaigns. Let me know. My Discord community here, open access to everybody. Patreon if you'd like to support me in that manner. Here's the full playlist. We are now at 500 episodes of creating this adventure. So thanks a lot for folks that have been in support of the Endeavor TM. And let's get this fixed here and we'll get to work. So this is the book cover that we created back around episode 40 and did the lettering for like around 210. And here is the map that we're currently creating. So let's, what we're gonna do is we've got a few different layers that we have built up here. Each individual tile here is the canopy for the trees that we have. And I'm going to look at our arrangement here. So when we're looking at the tree tokens, like in a virtual tabletop, when you load up a map, it has a canopy layer, which is the treetops, and then it has the trunk layer, and then we have thickets, which are obstacles and obscure vision, so they're good for hiding and blocking angles of approach in combat. And then we have rocks, which are difficult terrain, and then we have the ground itself. So I want to arrange these rock and thicket tokens around the bases of these trees. You can see the edge of the tree line of the canopy. So when you go underneath a tree, you can see what's going on underneath there. So if we were approaching from this direction, the DM can lift off the lid of the tree and see still where the canopy line is for obscuring vision from overhead. But otherwise, you can navigate through by going underneath the canopy and basically just lifting the top off. This is the same as the buildings that we had done in the town mapping that we had done. So it's the same effect, but for us to be able to, with the town maps that we were doing, it was easy for us to have the town with all the lids on and then go into each individual building to describe each of the building in the adventure, and then lift off the lid of the roof and look into the interior of the building with each individual map for each individual building. This is just an open forest, so it's not practical for us to have this map and then to say there's a bunch of assassin vines. This encounter is basically assassin vines have colonized this tree. when your characters go underneath it, you get attacked by a mob of assassin vines that try to hoist you into the branches and basically hang you and then eat you. So we want to depict the underside of the canopy without having to do multiple images to depict the changing of the environment. So we're going to use an opacity layer. We can take these individual rooftops, we can add in a masking layer, and I can erase away at the lid here because the action is happening underneath this central tree. And again, all these, if you were to pick up the adventure, you would get a zip file that has all of these trees, individual tree tokens and individual terrain, ground map, as well as the thicket tokens. These thickets are built here. I'll show you this. These thickets are built in individual squares of varying types that you can tile together to make your own thicket brushes. And the same thing with the rocks. Each of these squares is a separate rock token that you just. I'm building prefab maps for you, so if you run the adventure, these things are all ready to go. But because we're providing the forest floor terrain, the tiles for the rocks, the thickets, the tree bases, and the trees, there's like 20 different pine trees and there's 20 different deciduous trees. This is taking place in a pine portion of the forest. So towards the village, at the edge of the forest, it's all deciduous, and then it blends into from deciduous into pine trees, and then from pine trees into the manifest zone. So the different region maps that we have all have a ground terrain, hazards and obstacles, and then the tree tokens. And again, the tree tokens are separated between the canopy and the actual tree, the tree root and branch structure. I can climb up in these to get away from creatures and stuff like that if you want to. So that's the intent of how it's built. So we're building prefabricated maps here to be able to utilize these and basically demonstrate how these things can be tiled together to make your own maps. So kind of like with the corn maze for the what's the word I'm looking for? The words, Kearney. The homestead, the farming homestead. We had the corn maze maps that undead were inside of, that characters could chase undead around and find villagers that were trying to hide from undead as a sort of maze attack challenge, which is optional. These are all optional encounters inside of the structure of the adventure. So like older school style adventures, you set up the dungeon space, you populate the dungeon with creatures. The creatures have motives, fears, concerns, and objectives, and then from there you just reference what those objectives and points are and let the action take care of itself as the characters interact with these in the different environments and the different denizens that are within those environments. The plot of the story just naturally occurs as a result of what the players decide that they want to do. So I'm going to take this brush at, like, say, let's go 60%. That feels good. See, and I haven't done this before, but this seems to be the best way I can think of to depict both the tops, both the canopy present and missing at the same time, is by doing a fade effect like this. I think this is probably going to work out the best, so we'll do it like that. Burf. So I stream 9 times per week, Monday through Friday in the morning like this. We do artwork, and assets for whatever our next current project is. And obviously here in this instance, we're talking about the publishing the adventure. And on Tuesdays and Friday at lunch, as well as Mondays and Thursday nights, like tonight, we do game design. And we've been play testing the martial power system, which is an alternate magic system for martial characters using 5e24 mechanics and the color mana system that I had published on the DMsGuild. That's linked down below for you to take a look at using the 2014 rules. But since D&D's updated to 2025, we need to update all of the mechanics for the color mana system to work with the new character build options. And while we're at it, I can achieve the objective that I had from the start, which is to create a unifying mana system for all characters in the 5e24 game engine, so that all characters are utilizing the same mana resource to depict your character's abilities. And that is tonight we're going to continue working on that. The rogue is the last of the classes that we need to revise for the current playtest iterations that we are using. And that means, and I have 7 subclasses left for the rogue. And once we finish those, we'll be able to work on MTG backgrounds from Theros, Strixhaven, and Ravnica. We're going to rebuild those backgrounds so that they work with the new 5e24 mechanics, the piety system for the gods in Theros, and develop the rules for Mage Tower as a combat sport from the Strixhaven setting. I want to develop that into a PvP style potential arena battle thing for players to make builds and have small teams fight other teams, and the objective isn't to kill the enemy or whatever, it's to score points. So there's a lot of different types, like different mechanical interactions in combat, depending on whether it's an object, an enemy, or an ally that you're dealing with. So we're going to be building rules of engagement as a sport that we can then, again, make character builds and then have them be a sports team and compete against each other, trying to score points as a means of winning the battle. So Strixhaven's brought a lot of cool ideas, but they didn't go very far with any of them. They just hinted at here's some, like, they're more like prompts than anything. It's like they don't really. I'm out of pocket for the moment, so don't mind my harsh criticism. I'm a huge D&D enthusiast, and it's only because I'm such a fan of D&D that I am critical of it, because it is, after all, my favorite hobby. You're going to be passionate and want your favorite hobby done differently than how it's being done, so that makes me impassioned. To want to have more cool stuff in D&D 5e in general, and Wizards is just like, they're not going to invest resources in making a sports combat, like changing the combat system into sports arena style. Like, they're not going to go through that effort. That is such a niche interest that I do not begrudge them for not pursuing that as an idea. But Strixhaven, it's a sport, man. Strixhaven created a whole sport as a narrative for their colleges, that they have, like the Strixhaven setting in Magic the Gathering. It's Strixhaven's like Harry Potter school, right? Except for it's color mana as opposed to the world of wizardry. And so they introduced this sport, Mage Tower, and they've got cards in the MTG set about it, but in the D&D setting, it's basically just like 3 ability checks, and you either win or you lose the match. And that's just, it's too trite. It's too simple. It's I don't blame them. I don't expect them to make an entire supplement on how to run a sport as a combat mission. Like instead of fighting monsters and stuff, you're trying to score points against your opponent. But that's a really cool way to build a friendly PvP environment where you're competing against other characters trying to score points in a match. So that's what. It's not practical for wizards to make a supplement like that, but it is for us because we're just a little independent guy. And indie studios are good for making this sort of stuff, taking the risks, having innovation, and exploring ideas that are too niche to have probably a mainstream interest. But if there's enough people interested, can carve out their own space for doing these niche designs, and that is what I am in the process of doing. Is creating various niche designs, especially in the MTG, Magic the Gathering space, for use in D&D 5e. Since it's probably not reasonable, I'm sure Wizards and Hasbro is concerned about whether or not Strixhaven, Ravnica, and Theros were successful as D&D campaign settings or not. And that's just using the normal 5e game engine. I don't think it's practical that they would want to develop a color mana system. That's why they just presented the Vancian magic and 8 schools of magic from normal D&D translated into the Magic the Gathering settings that they've published. But that's not, I don't think that's, I don't know how much of a crossover audience there really is between D&D and MTG, but I am. And so that means that, I'm their target audience, and I think they've missed the mark. So naturally, that means that I'm going to go in and demonstrate what could be done if real effort, thinking, and design went into developing out MTG into a 5e D&D set, game mechanics. So that's what I do. That's my primary project. I use Eberron's my favorite world, but Magic the Gathering and Color Mana is my favorite Magic paradigm. So I incorporate Color Mana into my Eberron setting, but that's just me because I'm a huge color enthusiast. So anyway, that's that. So that's what we're working on tonight. We're finishing up. We should be, God's willing. We'll finish up Rogue tonight. If not tonight, then tomorrow at lunch. Because again, Mondays and Thursday nights, Tuesday and Friday lunches. So 4 times per week, I stream game design. Once we finish the Rogue, then we can start developing the rules for Mage Tower and utilize that. Because we're doing a mega dungeon right now for playtesting the martial powers from level 1 to 10. We just hit level 7 as a team. We have level 7, 8, 9, and 10. 7, 8, 9, yeah, and then we'll play through 10. So we still have 4 levels to go. We've knocked down 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we're halfway through. With any luck and tempo, we should be able to probably finish up the mega dungeon in maybe like November, or depending on vacation time and stuff, like November, December. And then by then we'll have all the Strixhaven rules built, so we can flip between, like once the dungeon is over, we can go into Mage Tower matches, or if I need time to build out the dungeon further for the next adventure, then like next week we'll play, we'll do Mage Tower matches, build some athletes. Those are the ideas. There, and I'm just trimming this down. I like that. Yeah, I think this works. There we go. Hey, Steve, how you doing? There we go. So naturally, of course, if you're in your virtual tabletop, you have the disable. So naturally, we can lift these off as separate tiles from the underlying tree branch and canopy line, but I can't depict that in one. I only have one map, so I want to have the treetops and showing the terrain underneath it for the sake of the adventure. So that's why I'm opting for this this faded top view, so that you can see what's going on in the squares underneath the canopy, while still noticing that the tree canopy exists. So I'm pretty happy where this is at. I'm going to drop away there, and let's get into our thickets. So obviously the map just goes on forever. So that, and again, we provide the tiles of all these trees, the canopies, the roots, the thickets, the rocks. This is all terrain tiles that are provided with the adventure. We have the prefabricated maps that we're building right now, but all the components that I'm using to build the maps are tools that are inside of the kit that we give you in the zip file with the adventure. So I'm building these maps as demonstrations of how to use those tools. So obviously I use these thickets basically to separate between trees. You don't have a lot of thicket going on directly underneath the tree. It's the surrounding spaces. Yeah, let's get rid of the background here so it's a little clearer, a little more graphic. There we go. So you can see there's gaps here. There's a little natural gap here and here and here. The trees growing into each other. These are spaces in the forest that are allowing water and sunlight to get through. That's a natural space for resilient plants to colonize. So we're going to strip those away. And for example, we can go here and line this up on this grid. If I go up, let's say, I could go here. No, we'll go back where we were, and I'm just going to reshape. I'll reshape the map a little bit, or reshape the structure of the thicket. So let's line it up on the grid. Yeah, it feels like a good space. We'll do there. And I can say grab this. Down the line like that. Let's get rid of that one. So this one's encroaching a little bit. Am I okay with that? Probably. Let's erase these. These are all just duplicated tiles. All these tiles are the same except that they're just rotated or flipped. So we have 8 different tiles that we include in the toolkit to be able to reproduce these effects. This here. I bound them all together into a single format that I'm erasing and adding to, because having 20 tiles per folder and then figuring out which each tile is and then push them individually, that's really freaking obnoxious. So I do not want to do that. So instead, I just take all the tiles, bind them together, and then just paste them back into place, since they're all the same tiles anyway. Transform, rotate this 90 degrees. And then merge this down. Now we're going to get rid of this tile token here. Let's grab this one. This is more assembly work than art, right? Because we already have these tokens. Now we're just arranging them. It's more like graphic design work than anything. But yeah, neat little, just a neat little. These things provide cover and obscure vision, so that you wouldn't be able to see on the other side of this thicket here. So it creates blinds. Let's grab this one here. I'm gonna bring this one into a separate piece. Let's take, let's actually conceal that one for the moment and grab this one. And where do you fit? Oh, hello there. Hidden off screen. Get on back here. Maybe you are a better option. Free transform, rotate 90 degrees. Yeah, I think you have a place here. Feels pretty good. Copy, paste, bring it down, free transform, rotate 180. So I'm going to assemble this, and then we're going to work on a painting. So I just wanted to, this is just one of the things that I do. Again, I demonstrate the different aspects and components of the project that need to be done for us to move on to the next bit. And this is another one of those portions. This isn't something I plan on spending a lot of time on here on screen, but this is a demonstration of the type of stuff I do off screen, like in downtime when I'm not hanging out with you guys here. I'm going to start working on the monster manual section of the adventure here pretty shortly. Probably later this week, like Wednesday plus. I'm going to start working on that. Take that there. I'm going to rotate this 90 degrees. There we go. I'm gonna merge these down. And not a fan of this being here. Like I could just slapdash these things together really quick and, you know, just be done with it. But I want to put a little bit of thought and quality into it because, you know, there's not a lot of there's only 5 forest maps, not 4 forest maps in total. Yeah, 4 forest maps. So I just want to make sure they look decent. And, you know, like get so that reader can get an idea of like what the potential behind these things are for them to build to use as their own map assets for themselves as well. There's that and that. Let's grab here. I'm gonna go free transform. I'm gonna rotate it like this. Merge down. No, right. Copy, paste. Merge down. Cool. So far, so good. Oof, that's a big one. So far, so good. Oof, that's a big one. Yeah, I don't want to choke this little tree too much. Let's push this one up. Oh yeah. Let's grab this one. Transform. Like that. That's perfect. Transform, flip horizontal, vertical. Whoop. Merge down. Nope, don't like it. Get rid of that. Oh, looks like we got some little fuzzy bits on this tree down here. We'll have to fix that. Actually, we have to fix it right now that we're looking at it. Hey, how about that? Well done. Let's get rid of those little nibs. Hold on, I see some more nibs. Oh no, that's not it. Cool, let's collapse that. Go back to here. There we go. Pretty good. All right, and now we want to get rid of here. I want to destroy this one. And we're going to copy paste, free transform. We're going to flip horizontal and then rotate into position. For transform. Excuse me. There, rotating that in position. And up here. Come on back here, buddy. There you go. Merge these together. Merge. And we want to take this block here and place it someplace else. Let's go down here. Transform. Transform. Let's free transform, rotate 180. Like that. That feels too big and bulky to make use of here. Look at you. Timer? Do I want to have a large? That feels a little bulky. I don't want to do that. But I like the vibe. So let's see. What do we do? Let's take this. Let's rotate it. Let's flip it. Let's flip it horizontal, and then let's give it a curve. Take it off camera like that. And the idea here is that this is an ongoing forest, and we're just grabbing a snippet of the terrain. Ooh, I like that. Okay, let's cut this. Here. Cut this here. Grab that. Drop it down a smidge. Let me get that out of the way so we can see this a little bit more clearly. Paste, quick transform. Let's here, and then flip. Let's merge these together. I can then take this, I can move this one to the edge over here, and then take this one, and bring this one up to here. And then I can take these, copy paste, transform. Trim it this a little bit, that's fine. Yeah, that feels really good. Different points of entry, I like it. Let's see, I can stitch this. I didn't, there was two of these thickets I didn't need, but obviously I'm just perpetuating patterns. I was just looking for the larger gaps between the trees to fill in like this. And so I'm pretty happy with that. Let's take, let's grab our rocks here real quick. And we can drop rocks into spaces in between. Flip horizontal. Put some rocks down here. Let's create the layer, conceal it there. I don't need this many rocks. There, a little bit of topography. background. And then our canopy. There we go. That is a forest map. And then we could, I can press save here real quick. Grab a sip of coffee. We're going to switch gears. 7 o'clock, cool. File open real quick. Let's go look at monsters. Monster tokens. Let's grab our assassin vine. Let's go to duplicate. No need. Oh, wait a second. Did I do that wrong? Hold on. What the deuce? Duplicate the layer. Where's what? What's going on? Why is this not duplicating? Let's try this again, shan't we? Duplicate. Let's I guess go down to a new layer or a new fold. Thank you. That worked. Duplicate this group into the carnivorous plants. There it is. Merge that group there. Ooh, that really doesn't stand out very well in the background, does it? All right. We'll have to drop some white background into that one. This in. Okay, cool. I like that. That feels pretty good. And it stands out well. Let's merge that down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A colony of 6. Let's have one hang out here. Let's go Assassin, Vine, Colony. Zoom right side right. Cool, okay, I'm gonna stitch this one up and call it done. And yeah, don't need to hang on to that. Don't need to hang on to that. Close that one up. And now let's jump into the next document. Let's go to... '27 to 32. Okay, so this is the this is part 2, Into the Mist. Part 2 consists of 3 regions inside the Manifest Zone: Forgotten Cemetery, Flooded Fortress, and Gatehouse. Each region leads the characters underground to the nexus of the Manifest Zone, where the Eye of Mabar is located, and the Emerald Claw cultists are performing the ritual that creates the Manifest Zone. The characters only need to find one of these paths leading underground to proceed to part 3. Each region emphasizes one of the pillars of adventure. Region A, the cemetery, emphasizes combat. Region B, the flooded fortress, emphasizes exploration. And Region C, the gatehouse, emphasizes social interaction. The DM can lead the characters to whichever region best aligns with the plot hooks chosen for the adventure detailed in Appendix C, choices characters made during Part 1, and the preferences of the players as detailed below. In the Manifest Zone itself, has both wandering monsters and optional encounters to further challenge the characters. Now, I think some of the wording here is a little wonky. I'm gonna put some marks. I'm gonna put a mark here. No, I want to put a mark here to take a look at the wording that we have there. And let's check that. I think I made some changes in I think that grammar is weird, and I think that's my fault. And B, I think we changed the appendixes to 1, 2, 3, not A, B, C. I need to check in on that. So these are 2 marks that I know I'm going to want to update. But then we talk about each of the manifest zones. Here, the Forgotten Cemetery, the Flooded Fortress, and the Gatehouse. These are the symbols that we created for them: cemetery, flooded fort, gatehouse, and this is the nexus. This is the village. This is the Carnwood in part 1. We were just looking at the Carnwood, part B. Region B in part 1. And then now that we're getting into the Manifest Zone, part 2, we've got these 3 zone areas to resolve. So I don't think this is what I actually want to work on right now. This is just something that needs to be worked on. Here we have the actual Manifest Zone itself, the Wandering Encounters, transition to part 3. We'll have a couple tokens here. to indicate different types of terrain, difficult terrain and like obstacles and hazards that the team can fuck around with while inside the manifest zone. Other than that, we don't really need any illustrations on this page. This is optional encounters, the Tree of Woe. This is a destination that you can be teleported to if you're using the Gatekeeper Druid plotline. It'll take you directly into the manifest zone instead of starting at the village. If you want to shorten the adventure, you can choose an alternate plot hook that takes you further into the adventure. Two of them assume that you start in part 1. Two of them assume you start in part 2. And 2 of them assume you start in part 3. Total of 6 different plot hooks. All of them can be further away from the end of the adventure. Part 1, part 2, part 3. Only the Aether Academy and the 12 can actually teleport you directly into the manifest zone, because only Aether Academy and the 12 know what's going on here. And they just have different perspectives. The 12 is trying to take control of this operation so it can become their resource, while Aether Academy is trying to shut it down, get the artifact that can empower this area for research, and to collect evidence to prosecute the necromancers that are creating it as basically a war crime. So those two have the most knowledge. They can get you closest to the end of the adventure. So if you want to run it as a one-shot, you can just be directly teleported into the facility to basically either heist or run and gun through it. But the less the characters know about what's going on in the adventure, the further away from the Nexus can they start. The Gatekeepers and the Church of the Silver Flame both know there's an evil presence that's growing at this location, but not specifically where the Nexus is at. So they end up. Let's actually go back. So they end up. Those 2 plot hooks actually start you in the manifest zone, but not the Nexus directly. They can get you there, but then you have to find out what's the source and what can you do about it. Resolve with great prejudice. And then if you're coming in completely blind, either using the deputized plot hook, which is the default for the adventure, where there's people in the village that's gone missing, and they're asking for somebody to send a sheriff to help. Your characters are deputized to look into it because we're too busy, and then all the events unfold. Or you have family and friends that are in the village that invite you to come visit, lay low, or like invest in this place, help us out, or make a home out of it yourself. Or if you want to retire your character, you retire in this village. You have friends here. So for whatever reason, you come out and you visit the village, and it's been attacked by undead, and your friends are gone. So that leads you on a vengeance mission into the manifest zone to go find them. Whether they've been sacrificed to the ritual or not is basically up to the DM. But that's where it's leading to. And so those are the 6 plot hooks. 2 of them start in part 1, 2 of them assume that you start in part 2, and 2 of them assume you start in part 3. But like, for example, they could get the teleportation wrong into the Nexus, into the underground facility. So like, you could end up in the village. So you could start there. Then you have to figure out, where's the fucking manifest zone? Where's the Nexus we're supposed to be teleported to? You could arrive further and further away from where you're actually supposed to be at the beginning of the adventure. So all of them can start in part 1. Any of them except for Deputized and Friends can start in part 2 in the manifest zone. And only the 12 and Aether Academy can start in the Nexus itself. So that allows you to you could run a one shot with the 12 plot hook, get the characters killed in the Nexus, and then go back and run the adventure from the start at the village. Like, this would be like the cold start of a TV show or a movie where violence is happening and bad news happens, and then it's like 3 weeks earlier or whatever, and then you wind back. Instead, this would be like 3 weeks later, and then your team teleports into the village, knowing that you're going to get to that Nexus eventually, as a means of of foreshadowing things to come for your characters, so they get an idea of what's going on inside there as players. But then narratively, you wind back and you go, no, okay, now we're playing ignorant deputies. We have an idea that this Nexus thing is happening, and that this ritual is occurring, and the manifest zone is being created by it. We know that as players. Now we're going to depict local sheriffs that have no idea going into it. Like, that's a narrative a narrative direction you can choose to go in if you wanted to. So, Tree of Woe. This is where this is a tree that didn't get killed, but it's obviously blank right now. We have to build a map for it. We were just building maps, so I'm not going to bore you with that right now. But the Tree of Woe is a tree that instead of being destroyed by the necrotic forces of the Manifest Zone, it empowered the tree and it became evil. So when it's the only tree that's left in the Manifest Zone, so it's the closest tree to the point of origin. The druids use tree stride to get you to that tree, but basically you just get ambushed right from the jump. It's like we appear underneath this tree and like Poltergeist, it tries to eat you. So deal with that. You can just run away from it if you want to. Here's a sinkhole map. We have a another map that we need to build in the center column here. And over here we have Undead Amok. We have to do yet another map of the Manifest Zone over here. But what I want to focus on right now is looking at the Emerald Claw encounter for Red Wolf Patrol. It can this map that we have here is just going to be a generic overland Manifest Zone terrain map. It's just basically blank. Drop undead, drop creatures in there, whatever you want to do. But it's just a general terrain map. The Red Wolf encounter can Red Wolf are the mercenaries that the team can either fight or ally with. But this is this is basically going over the patrol, and then encounter 5 familiar threat. As detailed in Appendix 1, Karen, the Enchantress, currently oversees operations, including the activities of the Red Wolf mercenaries. She uses the Flock of Familiar spell to gather information while she oversees Solzu, performing the rituals within the Nexus. There's a 1 in 6 chance if the characters approach the flooded fort or the gatehouse, that one of her imps familiars is present to invisibly observe the mercenaries. There's a 1 in 4 chance an imp familiar will be present during any random or optional encounters above, invisibly spying on the characters for Karen to assess their strength and prepare against, as detailed in Part 3, optional encounters detailed below, which is the Manifest Zone with Karen and the Houndsman in the Manifest Zone. I want to look at that 1 in 4 chance and that 1 in 6 chance. I think those should be flipped. And I want to check the wording here. So there's a few spot edits that I want to make. But other than that, we got our imp. I'm gonna merge that down. This imp illustration, this is something that we made probably back around, I bet this was like around episode 275 or so. I think that's when I was making NPC tokens, but this is the Manifest Zone, so there needs to be Rot and Gray and Grunge. This is just basically free floating in open space right now. So I want to modify this. I'm gonna go here and here. Text. I'm gonna hit save here real quick. And I want to close this so I don't overburden the RAM. But Pine Forest, up a tree, 22, 26. Let's open this up. Buff. I want to grab some of this. Close this up. Nope. Then move back to where we were. What time is it? 7:22? Okay. We're doing good here. We're doing really, really good. basically adding some color. That's basically all we really need to do. I do want to, however, in the manifest zone, the sky is obscured, so there's no sunlight that can come through. So the light comes from the ground. The Vulpinotharia moss is viridescent. It has an unnatural, sickly green glow to it, but it is the main light source inside the manifest zone. So the top is darker than the bottom. Out of the way so I can get this down. So we're just going to do the general background environment, put the imp back in, and then in the foreground we're going to have some fog covering the imp so it looks, you know, concealed. But I can also make it partially translucent. Here, I can cheat. I can have the imp faded, and I can have different levels of opacity on its body. So first thing we're going to do is just make sure that the background is well blended and the lighting looks good, and then from there we can add in the imp, foreground some fog over it, and then mess around with its transparency to indicate that it's invisible. So that is what we're doing right now. It's just a bunch of smudge work into the canvas. Working it into the canvas. There we go. You know what? I'm gonna hold off. I'm gonna hold off on that. I'm gonna work the canvas here. I'm gonna put another layer over it that's darker to smudge it down. But I think I just want to make sure that this layer here is just us just basically doing cloud blending. Low opacity smudge cloud tool. All these tools are available on my Patreon. All you have to do is follow. You don't even have to pay to get access to the ABR brush set that I have to make all the illustrations that I do. A lot of the adventure, a lot of the illustrations, like visual language in it, is maps and creature tokens like this. But we have all these little pockets down here. Like we'll have little edge spaces that we can do, like little terrain and texture tokens too. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. So once we get all the major assets positioned into the document and fuse it in, we'll see what little spots exist that are just scattered throughout the pages to see where little pockets of blank space exist that we can fill in with flavor. And we can use a different type of terrain and plants and just like illustrate them in an actual environment instead of just being tokens. So this is a good example of that. This open space here, having the imp inside the manifest zone, helps add flavor to like what is the manifest zone actually like. So just getting the basic. I want to have just a good basic blend, a gradient from darker to lighter here, just to help fill the space in, to get a sense of what the environment's like. There, bring this in here like that. encroach upon the text, so we have a fade. Breaks that down. That feels pretty good. Now I'll take our imp, we'll bring that back in. Don't want it to fill the space too much, so let's drop him down in size just a smidge. Imps are so cool. They're such cool little monsters. We'll take that, we're going to highlight over. Itself, we want to do feels good. Now we can let's do like this. Hey guys, how you everyone doing today? So the light comes from the ground because of the glowing moss that overtakes the vegetation inside of the manifest zone region. So it has an unnatural greenish glow to it, and the sky gets darker towards the top because the sun's been blotted out. Let's see, what happens if we put this here instead? That diffuses it a little bit more. I like that. Now we can take here. Thank you. Let's do that. Work this into the canvas. Barely, it's 24, 25, 24. So, no, 24, 25, 14. Just, I don't see the color myself, but the RGB indicator here says that this is a very, very washed out green. very low saturation, which is appropriate because the mist would desaturate the color. Nice, this is fun. It's a lot of fun doing these. What happens if we drop it back here? I think I like that better. Fight this in. Environmental pieces like this I enjoy doing. This forest that we did last week, that was freaking awesome to do, and it's super useful color references. I don't often. I think I might have another 1 or 2 instances of doing Bob Ross paintings inside of here somewhere. I'm not sure exactly. Somewhere in the appendix, I think I'll have the opportunity to do a similar Bob Ross style painting. We'll see. We'll see what comes up. Not guaranteed, but if it's needed, I like being able to do environmental maps because or environmental illustrations because environments add a lot of flavor and narrative to a work, and it's often difficult to find stock art that's appropriate for the type of terrain that you want to do. So being able to create it myself is a major boon to the kind of stuff that I want to build. Like, I don't think any of this stuff would be nearly as cool if I couldn't like actually illustrate it. I think that's why I started doing creating adventures, creating supplements in the first place, is because I wanted to make I want to do fantasy illustrations, but I didn't like any of the projects that I was getting. So I guess I just need to make my own projects so I can fill the books with the type of illustrations that I want to do instead of shopping around to find a sponsor that's making their own book that would be interested in the type of art that I make. That's just cut out the middleman. Just be my own art director. Give myself the freedom to do whatever I want. Takes a little while to work these edges in. Timely timer. So I got 20 minutes left before this session's over. I'm going to be back at 5:30 p.m. tonight. That's 10 hours from now. We're going to be back on doing Martial Powers game design. We're going to see if we can get all the rogue subclasses finished tonight, and that'll finish out the entire series of class and subclass revisions for 2025 for the Color Mana system. And we're going to be looking to build books out of that and reformatting the text in there as well once we get to it. That feels pretty good. I like that. I like how this is looking. I futzed with stuff for a while. up. There we go. Just work this fade into the canvas here because I don't want any of the color getting invading the space of the text. But otherwise, I don't really need to respect borders very much. So I just want to put a transparency, a masking layer, framing the square space that this is inside of here, just to make sure that it doesn't get up into the text's business. Like that. That feels pretty good. That feels good. I like that. That feels really, really good. All right, let's grab one more layer. That into the canvas here. And I think once we finish this, I mean, this will be done here in a few moments. I think this is what we'll be doing today. So we're gonna come back tomorrow, and don't know what we're gonna work on tomorrow, but we'll work on something. So we just keep pushing our way through the document. Looking. Oh, we'll probably work on that. We'll probably work on that map, the front end that we were looking at earlier. The section, the part 2 icon illustration. Just want to finish working this. I just blending is everything, man. You gotta blend. It's blend, blend, blend. Feels really good. I like that. And one last bit. Lighting, again, the lighting comes from the bottom because the fungus on the ground glows. And it's only dim light, and it's heavily obscured by the fog, so visibility in this place is horrible. Basically, encounter range, you can hear things coming at you in the manifest zone before you can see them, which hopefully should be suitably terrifying. Because the undead can see you, even though you can't see them. Their vision is not obscured by the mist. There we go, just like that. Cool. And looks good. Where you at? Give me your bits. A little bit of cleanup, and we'll call this one done. Any other? I think I can add a little bit more volume. Back around like this. Down like that. That feels like, yeah, that feels like it frames the space really nicely. There we go. Welcome, folks. We're about ready to wrap up today. 7:45. We're about done. So each day we come on, we work on a new page of the adventure. When all the pages are done, we can publish. We're kicking right along. Episode 500 here of making all of the tokens, and like if you go back into the history, like we made like the imp token separately, and like last week we finished this terrain painting. There's a lot of different type of assets and terrain that we're building out throughout the entire adventure, but when we just keep pushing through the document, and when we run out of things to do, we publish it. So we're just working our way towards the end, and then we'll pick up the next book and we'll do the same thing starting over. This one's an adventure for the Eberron campaign setting for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition using the 2024 mechanics. And we'll work on the Bastion campaign after this one. Tonight we're going to be back in about a little less than 10 hours. We'll be back on working on the martial power system, converting rogue subclasses into the mana system that we've developed, playtesting, and we playtest on my Discord channel on the weekends, Saturday mornings. Seattle time here in the -8 UTC. That feels pretty good. At this point, I'm just grinding pixels, so I think that looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. So we're going to leave it like this. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up for the day. I'm here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. In the morning, we're doing artwork like this. Mondays and Thursday nights like tonight, as well as Tuesdays and Friday lunches. We do game design for 5e, mostly color mana mechanics and alternate character options, but also game systems for DMs like the Bastion campaign. The Mecha Kaiju book that we're building for the Spelljammer combat and exploration document that we made, that's linked down below as well. Let's, sorry, I'm just futzing with this corner. Isn't quite ready for me to let it go. That feels pretty good. Yeah. Okay, cool. That's it. All right. I'm going to kick out of here for the day. I'll be back tonight in less than 10 hours. I hope everyone has a fantastic day. Thanks for being here with me. And I'll see you guys on the other side. Cheers.